Now I'm going to bring Derek into his favorite segment of every single week, the Sixers stock report. So you can decide, Derek, whether you want to go upside down visor or normal visor today, since I know that's been a source of debate in the past. Oh, he's going normie mode. Normie mode on me today. So we did not workshop who we were going to go over today. And I think we should probably, instead of just doing players, Derek, can do more abstract concepts, I would say. So things like Sixers defense or individual plays, whatever you want to do. But I do want to start with one individual person. Nick Nurse, stock up or stock down?
I would still...
Remember, blue is down, red is up.
I would still say stock up. Okay. And here's why. I was thinking about this the other day because one of the things I was thinking of, I tweeted out a stat that in the 16 games that Embiid has played, the Sixers are outscoring opponents by 14 points per 100 when he's on the bench. So they've been able to navigate those minutes. In the 2 games he's missed, they've been outscored by 11.5 points per 100. So they have not been able to become even close to competitive. And I was thinking how much that has it seems like the Sixers have multiple skill sets they have just enough of to be competitive. One is shot creation. The other is interior defense. Like when Embiid is healthy, you've got Paul Reed coming in as a backup. You have just enough. When Embiid is healthy, you have just enough in terms of Embiid and Maxey creating for each other. You lose one of them and all hell breaks loose. You just can't navigate a full 48. But the reason I'm bringing this up is I think Nick has done a really good job, because I look at Embiid and Maxey, and neither of them are elite passers. Mm-hmm. As much better as Joel Embiid has gotten, I think he's gotten significantly better. They're not elite passers. Embiid might be a good passer for his position. Maxey may be an average passer for his position. But he's found a way to put them in spots where they can find the reads and make the most out of their passing ability. And like I said, you lose one of them, and all of a sudden you have not enough passers. But I think he's found ways to design sets and get everyone doing stuff off ball and get them in the right mindset that they can succeed. And I think that Lakers game was maybe the biggest example of that and the epitome of what they're trying to do. So even though they lost this last one here, I'm still going to give them a stock up because of that.
I think that's fair. The only reason I brought it up is now that we've seen a couple of games where they effectively had no plan without Joel Embiid, it's at least not a good plan, one that was giving them a chance to really win. I wondered if that had any impact on the overall view of the team. But yeah, I think your points are fair. And I think the most important one to me is Joel having this type of passing season and Nurse's offense and how they're playing, unlocking a part of Joel that, frankly, I didn't think was really there to be unlocked in this way. I think that still keeps them in the positive books. And look, overall, they've been a very good team. So I don't want to ding him too hard for, losing on back-to-backs in the case of the Minnesota game or losing when Joel's a late scratch, as happened last night.
Yeah, I agree.
And we do have a super chat from Harrison G. So thank you to Harrison, who asked, did we ever figure out why Ricky Council got cut and re-signed?
I don't know for sure. I think they were just trying to give him a chance to see what else was out there.
Yeah, because they wanted to. It was Smart, right? Javonte Smart that they brought in on the two-way deal, and I think I'm sure Council and his agent, knowing that there was another two-way guy coming in, probably said something to the effect of, "Let's see if we have another chance out there." Took a look at things and ended up coming back. And I don't know. I always just assume there's like some kind of money laundering going on when something like that happens.
You put an accountant visor on Kyle and you start talking about money laundering.
Yeah, I don't know. Real mob move, if I would say so myself.
All right. I think this is probably a player that we've given stock up to a couple times this year, but this one is probably different. Tobias Harris.
Oh, big ol' stock down, ladies and gentlemen. And we did rant about this, or I ranted about this a little bit on the post-game show after the Pelicans game. But I think you can see that when he's not hyper efficient, and look, he shot 50% from the field against New Orleans. That was fine. The warts to his game really show up a lot more. Like the fact that he only took 2 threes the entire game on a night Joel doesn't play and has been fairly gun shy from there for a lot of this year. There have been some nights where he's been confident. He stepped into some threes, and even when he's been a little bit cold, is still taking the shots that he needed to take. But overall, I just think the volume is not there for him this year. It never has been. He's at 3.4 threes a game. That's actually a full attempt less than what he was taking last year under Doc Rivers. So he's regressing. This is his lowest.
Yeah, it's bad.
His fewest attempts since 2020, 2021. And before that, the last time he was under 4 attempts a game was in Detroit in 2016-17. That's just not acceptable. Like, he is the clear-cut third guy on this team and this roster right now. That's not an ideal situation to be in as a franchise. I think Derek and I both said last night, if he's your number 4, you're really cooking. But if he's your third guy, a lot of trouble ahead. And I think you're seeing the reason why for that, right? Like, he can scale up from time to time and beat up on some bad teams. And he has helped win them some games without Joel in the past, but the streakiness is just a lot to deal with for a guy that is making $40 million. Like, as much as you want to try to set aside the contract because it's an expiring at this point, it is still a big anchor on the team and impacts how they build the rest of the roster for this year and this potential playoff run. So, as much as he's had a good start to the year, I think the last week, maybe 2 weeks, has been pretty rough for him.
Yeah. And look, especially as a fourth option or a third option, I mean, he's not necessarily going to be as consistent as you want. That's part of the nature of it. But what you need is that aggressiveness to be consistent. You need him to take those threes when they're there. He hasn't done that all year. You brought up the stats. It's really bad for him to have fewer 3-point attempts since, 2016 or whatever you said, in a league that continues to trend upwards. As an off-ball role player, you need him to take those, and then just the decision-making. Like, I went back and rewatched those turnovers. They were mind-bogglingly frustrating.
They were even worse on second watch.
And I think that's happened a little bit now. He is certainly one player who, when he has a mismatch to Hunt or early offense to get going, he's really good. But you need more consistent decision-making out of him in the half court, and that has not been there recently. So
I'll bring up another inconsistent, sometimes maddening player.
Oh boy.
For the next one. Where are you at on D'Anthony Melton, Derek?
He wasn't great yesterday. But that being said, I'm still going stock up on D'Anthony. He had a good enough run and a good enough stretch of being a productive 3-point shooter along with a really good defender that he can have an off night or two here, and I'm still giving him an overall trending up. I think he's fit into his role a lot better of late, tends to look better when he's making his shots. Still cannot buy a bucket near the rim, and some of those attempts, again, on rewatch, were even worse than when you saw them the first time. But overall, I'm still going stock up on him.
So while we're on that subject, I know you brought up last night what he's shooting at the rim versus 3. It is crazy to look at a guy shooting 40.8% from 3 and is only shooting 40% on field goals. So on 2-point shots, which not even in theory, in practice, are the much easier shot because, hey, spoiler alert, they're closer to the basket. He's been worse on those shots than on threes. It's just like, how is that even possible?
And the crazy thing is sometimes you'll see that because, like, it'll be players like your boy Turk sometimes settling for like contested long twos. And you'll see that rather than like threes tend to be open, twos can oftentimes be contested, especially if they're long. But for him to be struggling that much on shots at the rim is wild. It is wild.
He really just blows my mind. I did see, so you can pass this one to me if you'd like. Biggie in the chat wanted a Marcus Morris stock report.
You're killing me.
No, I'm willing to do it because I'm the one who called it out. This overstates, I think, how high it's gone up. Like, if we could rearrange the stock up where it's just like flat and then like a little bit of an uptick, I would say that'd be my stock up for Morris because, look, he's made some shots. That's basically all it comes down to. I still am not a believer in him as a general rule. I think defensively he's got a lot of issues. Now, what I would say, and I've said this on the podcast several times over the last week, a lot of the defensive problems that have happened with him on the floor in the last week have either not been his fault or he's been put in situations or in matchups where I just don't think he had a prayer from the start, right? Where when you have him against Jonas Valanciunas and you have to defend a guy where the best defense he can play is bear hugging him and foul him, that's not Marcus Morris's fault that he can't stop him or stop him from offensive rebounding. By the way, does he think that I'm Bodner? Because he said that's goddamn right, Bodner.
Maybe
Biggie?
he's yelling at me. I actually agree with you. I would, if you forced me into it, I would have given him a stock up. That's in large part because I had the stock so low that
Penny stock. Yeah.
making some shots moves it up. That doesn't mean it's moved up enough to where I'm comfortable playing him defensively, which is really, and that's really most of my concerns with him and criticism with him. I think he will have nights where he gets hot from the perimeter and can make a shot. I don't think there are any nights really where he's going to look competent defensively.
Here's the other thing too that I would say that I
and by the way, we had somebody in the comments section the other day saying like, well, stop looking at him as a 2-3. He's a 4-5 now. And trust me, nobody is looking at him as a wing anymore. We're grading him on a 4-5 position.
Yeah. And here's what I would say also. I think one of my other concerns during his, I think it was his first appearance, the one where he airballed a baseline mid-range jumper. The concern for me at that point was like, okay, he doesn't know his role here. And he's doing things that like, I don't want to see that shot basically ever. And to his credit, in the game since, maybe some of this, I don't know how much Nick talked to him or it's been role or situation or what's being asked of him. But I think he's done a better job of just, he's taking open threes or he's swinging the ball, attacking a closeout and keeping it to like very simplistic. I don't want to say 3 and D because there's no D, but closeout attack basketball or shooting threes. Like if he just does that, and he's on the floor, like I think Marcus Morris can probably still make catch and shoot threes enough that you can play him. And if he's not running hot on a given night, sit him on the bench, say thanks, but no thanks. In that sort of role, he's fine. The issue that I had coming in, and he kind of confirmed this earlier this week when he was saying, yeah, I was expecting to play a different role here. I don't know that he wants to be in that type of role. And do you keep him happy in that type of role? But as long as he buys into it when he's on the floor, I don't really give a shit if he wants to do it. If he does what's best for the team, I think the base skill level is high enough that he can help them in different situations.
No, if he were a plus or a versatile defender, I'm fine with his offensive game. He's just no. Do you know what the Sixers defensive rating is with him on the court?
It can't be good.
126.2.
Ooh, yeah, that's a lot of points.
Bottom first percentile in the league. Do you know what opponents, their effective field goal percentage is when defended by Marcus Morris?
I'm going to guess it's high.
Yes, you're very good. 75%.
I was going to say 68 or something like that. So,
and that's on 26 field goal attempts. Like that's not a huge sample, but that's not a nothing sample either. And that doesn't even get into his pick and roll defense, which he's been exploited at times as a big pick and roll defender. He is just a real bad defender. And I don't think that's going to change. And I hope I'm wrong because I would rather not watch someone who can be picked on every time down the court defensively. But I think that's where we're at this point.
He did break up a lob in the Pelicans game. It was a terrible lob. I will say this. He got back and ran in transition, and that's more than I expected.
I'm gonna throw you a curveball here to close out the show. Terquavion Smith.
You're acting like I've watched much of the Delaware.
That's why it's a curveball.
I mean, look, he's my guy, so I feel like it's on brand for me to just be stock up. I have not taken a single look at his numbers prior to this.
So I have not watched any games, so this is purely numbers based, all right? Not exactly a well-informed opinion. He is averaging 23.3 points and shooting 10.3 3-point attempts per game for the Blue Coats right now.
That's my fucking guy right there.
All I want from him, bomb away, get ready for it, because they are going to need you in the second half when they don't get enough ball handlers. Terquavion Smith, key to the title.
Listen, I love a guy like that who's just going to put up 1 billion shots in G League games. How many of those is he actually making?
35.
Okay, so and on high volume, where they're probably high difficulty shots in a lot of cases too. I'm okay with that.
Whenever you shoot that kind of a volume, you're taking a high degree of difficulty shots with a pretty wide variety of shots. So the 35% I'm fine with. And also this is his first year with the longer 3-point line against increased competition. You expect that to go up at that volume, at his age, at the first year in the league. I'm fine with the percentage. I just want to see the attempts.
That's my guy, man. I'm riding for Turk. There are many of the young Turks out here. There are dozens of us, I promise you.
I bet when you forced me into the segment, you were not expecting me to pivot to Terquavion Smith.
Right, listen,
but I'm trying to help you out in any way I can.
We got 2 different free Turks in YouTube chat today, so I feel like the whole show was worth it just for that. I absolutely love that. So you got anything else before we get up on out of here and prepare for Sixers
I hope
Celtics
not. I just
tomorrow night?
turned off my computer.
Oh, that'd be a real problem then. If you guys have not already, if you could please subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon to get notifications every time we go live. Hit the thumbs up button on this specific video. That also helps us out a great deal. Thank you guys again for being with us today. And Derek, I will talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
We all silly like the mayor.